Today, I'm going to reveal to you the secret, hidden dynasty that has been sitting on the thrones of Europe for the last 600 years. This dynasty has been hiding in plain sight, an open secret, so to speak. But strangely, no one has really noticed. What I'm talking about is not some sort of crazy conspiracy theory, but a simple fact of genealogy that can be easily verified by anyone with access to basic sources such as Wikipedia. So why has this highly influential dynasty gone unnoticed? Well, it has gone unnoticed and, until now, unnamed because it's a matrilineal dynasty. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the greatest European royal house of all time, the House of Garsenda. European royal houses, like last names, are almost always patrilineal, meaning that a person always belongs to the house of their father, not their mother. So, for example, Queen Victoria, even though she was a female monarch, belonged to the House of Hanover, as that was the name of her father's house. However, Queen Victoria's son, who became the next monarch, was from a different house. This is because he took the name of his father's house, the House of Saxe, Coburg, and Gotha, even though it was his mother who was the previous monarch. So, if you take any royal in European history, male or female, and trace back their male-only line, you will likely be able to go back really far. You can try this yourself. For example, here we have the Wikipedia page for Queen Elizabeth. If we click on her father and then keep clicking on the father, we can go back well over 1,000 years. However, if we click on her mother's name and then keep on clicking on the mother, the trail actually goes cold after only about 200 years. This is because nobles tend to be connected to other nobles because of who their father or grandfather was, not who their mother or grandmother was. Generally speaking, matrilineal lines are not even tracked beyond a few generations, and they are certainly not named. Because of this, matrilineal dynasties are extremely rare. However, there are a few that do exist, hidden among the patrilineal dynasties, which get all the attention. And there is one matrilineal dynasty that really stands out. I have named this dynasty the House of Garsenda. It has provided more reigning monarchs than any patrilineal dynasty ever has. In fact, most of the greatest monarchs in European history, such as Louis XIV, Catherine the Great, and Queen Victoria, while belonging to different patrilineal houses, actually all belong to the exact same matrilineal house, the House of Garsenda. In fact, out of the 7 kingdoms that still exist in Europe today, 3 of them have a member of the House of Garsenda as their reigning monarch or royal consort. So let's go back and start from the beginning. Royal houses are usually named after a distant ancestor, often a count. In this case, we're going to start with a countess, a reigning countess named Garsenda, or in French, Garsende. Garsende was the Countess of Forcalquier. She lived approximately 800 years ago and is an important figure when it comes to medieval Occitan poetry. Occitan being a Romance language still spoken in southern France. If we go down 6 generations from Garsende, we come to the first of many queens that are part of this dynasty, Juana Manuel of Castile. Patrilineally, she was from the reigning house in Castile, the House of Ivrea. But the House of Ivrea came to an end with a king named Peter, who was overthrown by his illegitimate half-brother named Henry, who happened to be married to Juana Manuel. So when her husband became king, she became queen consort. And then when Henry died, her son by him, named John, became the next king, the first person from the House of Garsenda to rule as monarch. Now remember, the House of Garsenda wasn't actually recognized. John I would have been considered a member of his father's house, which was called the House of Trastamara. But in this video, we're tracking the matrilineal line. And matrilineally, John I belonged to the House of Garsenda. But keep in mind that males are dead ends in matrilineal dynasties. For a matrilineal dynasty to continue, it has to go from female to female. To make this clear, I've shown all the mother-daughter connections in bright red. Luckily, Juana Manuel did have a daughter named Eleanor. She married the King of Navarre and thus became queen consort of that kingdom. As fate would have it, they had only daughters, and therefore when Charles III died, the next monarch of Navarre was a queen regnant. A queen regnant is different from a queen consort. A queen consort is simply the wife of a king, but a queen regnant reigns in her own right as the actual monarch of the kingdom. This occurs in cases when a king does not have any sons. So Blanche became the first of several female members of the House of Garsenda to reign as queen regnant. In fact, because her son Charles died without any heirs, 2 of her daughters went on to reign as queen regnants of Navarre as well. Note that I'm using crown symbols to indicate every case in which a member of the House of Garsenda achieved the rank of reigning monarch of a kingdom. At this point, the dynasty splits in 2. One branch went on to produce 2 queen consorts of France, a queen consort of Scotland, and, for the first time, a king of France, Henry II. But this branch died out after only 4 generations. However, the other branch did not. That branch became associated with the crowns of Bohemia and Hungary, and eventually led to Anne, who was married to Ferdinand, who, after her death, would go on to become the Holy Roman Emperor. Anne and Ferdinand had a lot of children, including 7 daughters. And it's at this point that the dynasty really takes off. First of all, there's Maximilian, who was the first of 5 members of the House of Garsenda to become Holy Roman Emperor. His son Matthias, of course, was not a member of the house, but he married his first cousin once removed, who was. Then there were 2 sisters, Elizabeth and Catherine, who both married the same king of Poland. But the most important of Anne's 7 daughters were Anna, Joanna, and Maria. They were the progenitors of 3 major branches of the House of Garsenda, which I've simply named the Anna branch, the Joanna branch, and the Maria branch. Let's look at the Anna branch first. The Anna branch mostly married within the Habsburg family, so you're about to see a lot of incest. To start off, Anna's daughter married her uncle Charles. Yeah, gross, I know. And because the senior line of Holy Roman Emperors died out, their son Ferdinand became emperor in 1619. 2 of his sisters became queen consort of Poland, and another married the Spanish king Philip III, and thus became queen consort of Spain. Their 2 daughters married the 2 most powerful monarchs in Europe at the time. Maria Anna married her cousin Ferdinand III, and thus became Holy Roman Empress, whereas Anne married Louis XIII and became queen consort of France. Anne was the mother of one of the greatest monarchs in European history, Louis XIV, known as the Sun King. Of course, patrilineally, Louis XIV was a member of the House of Bourbon. But matrilineally, he, like so many other European monarchs, was a member of the House of Garsenda. Maria Anna's daughter, Mariana, married her uncle, Philip IV, and together they had Charles II, last of the Spanish Habsburgs, as well as Margaret Theresa, who married her uncle Leopold. And that pretty much takes care of the Anna branch. The Joanna branch produced two important queen consorts of France, Marie de Medici, who married Henry IV, and Maria Theresa, who married Louis XIV from the Anna branch. Maria Theresa was also the half-sister of Charles II. They were both the children of Philip IV of Spain, but through different mothers. It is because of this connection that the Spanish throne passed to her descendants when Charles II failed to produce any children. Another important person on the Joanna branch is Henrietta, who married the King of England and Scotland, Charles I. Because of Henrietta, two of England's Stuart kings, Charles II and James II, were members of the House of Garsenda, as well as her grandson, William III of Orange. Henrietta was also the grandmother of Anne-Marie, who became the queen consort of Sicily and then Sardinia. One of her daughters became the queen consort of the first Bourbon king of Spain, Philip V. And another daughter married the Dauphin of France and gave birth to Louis XV. But like the Anna branch, the Joanna branch died out in the 18th century. This leaves the Maria branch, arguably the greatest of the three, and the only one that survives to this day. Early members of the Maria branch include two queen consorts of Sweden and one queen regnant of Sweden, the mysterious Queen Christina. Next, I'll point out Elizabeth Amalie. She had several daughters who married into royalty. Remember Holy Roman Emperor Leopold I, who I mentioned earlier? All three of his marriages were to members of the House of Garsenda, as was he. But it was through his final marriage to Eleanor Magdalene from the Maria branch that his heirs came. She was the mother of two Holy Roman Emperors, as well as Maria Anna, who married her cousin and became queen consort of Portugal, just like her aunt, Maria Sophia. She also had a cousin named Elizabeth, who was the second wife of Philip V of Spain and the mother of Charles III of Spain. One of her daughters became the queen consort of Sardinia, and another, Anna Victoria, became queen consort of Portugal. Anna Victoria and her husband didn't have any sons, so their eldest daughter, Maria I, became queen regnant of Portugal, as well as the first monarch of Brazil. Okay, the next two names to point out are big ones. First of all, Catherine the Great, Empress of Russia and one of the greatest female monarchs in European history. She also was a descendant of the Maria branch, as was Queen Victoria. And it is through Queen Victoria and her sister that the remaining members of the House of Garsenda descend, including those who still reign today. Victoria's mother, also named Victoria, was actually married twice. Thus, Queen Victoria actually had an elder half-sister named Feodora. It is through Feodora's branch that the current King of Sweden descends, matrilineally, of course, as well as the current King of Spain, Philip VI, and Constantine II, the last King of Greece. Through Queen Victoria herself, we get several more interesting members of the House of Garsenda from more recent history. Her eldest daughter, also named Victoria, married a German Kaiser, and hence that makes Wilhelm II, Kaiser during World War I, a member of the House of Garsenda as well. His sister Sophia married the King of Greece, and therefore several more Greek kings are members too, as well as Michael I, the final king of Romania. Finally, through Queen Victoria's daughter Alice, we get Alexandra, Empress Consort of Russia and wife to the final Tsar, Nicholas II. There's also another Queen Consort of Sweden, and, last but not least, the current royal consort of the United Kingdom, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh and husband to Queen Elizabeth. So, as we've seen, this one matrilineal dynasty has had a tremendous impact on the history of Europe. But strangely, it has never been properly recognized or even really talked about until now. If it were to be measured alongside patrilineal dynasties, like the House of Habsburg or the House of Capet, it would obviously rank above them as the most influential of all time. Just look at how many thrones it has sat upon, and for how many years. Whenever a European nation was at its peak of power, a member of the House of Garsenda was there. And this video has only scratched the surface. If you would like to study this incredible royal house in greater detail, I'll leave a link to a PDF version of the chart in the description so that you can download it for free. If you notice any mistakes or branches that I've missed, let me know and I'll do my best to update it as time goes on. Thanks for watching.